The book is. Here's what it reads in the first 2 pages. My statement to Bill Colby was not made lightly. Colby and his wife, Sally Shelton Colby, a United States ambassador under President Carter, were at that very moment warning me to get away from the Franklin child abuse investigation. Larry King and anybody else linked with the Franklin as quickly as possible for the sake of my own life and safety. Sally and Bill had never talked to me like this before. They sat me down, made it clear that this was not one of our routine discussions about life and health and happiness, and emphasized to me the serious nature of what and whom I was dealing with. What you have to understand, John, is that sometimes, you can go to the next page, sometimes there are forces and events too big, too powerful, with so much at stake for other people or institutions that you cannot do anything about them, no matter how evil or wrong they are, and no matter how dedicated or sincere you are and how much evidence you have. This is simply one of those hard facts of life you have to face. You have done your part. You've tried to expose the evil and wrongdoing. It has hurt you terribly, but it has not killed you up to this point. I'm telling you, get out of this before it does. Sometimes things are just too big for us to deal with, and we have to step aside and let history take its course. I can read the rest. I think kind of get the idea of what's going on here.
That's absolutely true.
Is that absolutely true right now with that? Okay.
Yes, it's absolutely true.
When you were a CIA officer and you guys worked with Intel, what other Intel agencies did you guys work with that collectively amongst each other, you're like, dude, I work with those guys, I don't trust them at all? And which Intel agencies did you work with? You're like, I think those guys are fair. Who did you not at all trust, even though you had to work with them?
The Israelis.
You didn't trust them?
Not as far as I could throw them. We don't allow the Israelis into CIA headquarters because they would always come with gifts, and the gifts had always listening devices packed inside them. And, somebody brings you a gift, you x-ray it. It's the normal process. And we're like, you guys can't keep coming back here every single time trying to bug our conference rooms. So no more. So,
and was it easy to x-ray and see that they had bugs in them?
Yeah.
What percentage of the time did gifts have bugs in them?
100%.
Be quiet.
No, seriously.
Are you kidding me?
Absolutely not. I wish I was.
100% of the time they brought gifts that had bugs in them.
Yeah. And we're like, okay, no more. You can't come on campus anymore.
Will you guys joke about it with them? You're like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What is this?
We
So
would
was
say,
it like a joke?
Come on, you guys. No, they were serious. They were hoping one would slip through.
John, was that across the board with everybody that didn't trust them the most?
Oh, yeah.
What percentage of guys you work with didn't trust Mossad?
100%. I'll give you another example. So when I went on a tour to Bahrain, the guy I sat next to at headquarters and his wife went on a tour to Jerusalem. So they're there for a few weeks. The ambassador has a welcome party for them. And they go back to their house after the party, and all the living room furniture had been rearranged while they were gone. And they're like, okay, the Israelis break into the house. We get it. It's your country. All right. You don't have to be jerks about it. That December, they go to a Christmas party at the ambassador's residence. And when they get back to the house, people had taken shits in all their toilets and left it unflushed.
What?
Yeah. Why? It's just an intimidation thing. They do their 2 years there. The ambassador has a going away party for them. They drive back home, and when they get home, the dog is whimpering under the dining room table. Somebody had cut his tail off and wrapped it in gauze and medical tape. Like, why? So when this happens, and it happens all the time, we have to go to the Israelis and say, stop harassing our people. And they're like, okay. And then they stop for a year or two. And then they start doing it again.
Do you trust Russia's intel agency more than you trust Israel?
No, I don't trust either one of them. I will say that both of them are outstanding services, but I think the Israelis are probably the best in the world.
And is that an element of how dirty they are, or is that an element of envy that they're actually better than us in intel?
It's a combination of the two. I'll give you an example, Patrick. This thing with the pagers last year. Oh my God. What can you imagine the complexity of an operation like that, where you have to control literally every step of the way from production through the supply chain.
Insane.
It's insane.
What seems to have been almost precisely 24 hours after thousands of pages exploded across Lebanon. Another wave of explosions, possibly smaller, possibly 30 to 40, half of which were in the southern suburbs of Beirut, controlled by Hezbollah. Another wave of blasts, seemingly emanating from wireless devices, predominantly walkie-talkies. It seems devices used, according to a Lebanese security source, to use crowd control. Possibly also one detonating at a funeral for somebody indeed killed 24 hours earlier at one of the pager explosions. And another moment potentially too where the finger is pointed at Israel, who publicly said little, but CNN has learned were behind the pager blasts.
I got a call from a Russian TV network the next day, and they said, "Would you come on and talk about this pager operation?" I said, "Sure." And they said, "It's a war crime, right?" And I said, "It might be, because there were innocent people." But I said, "It was friggin' brilliant." I said, I can tell you, even after 15 years at the CIA, nobody at the CIA would have come up with an operation that was this incredible and outside the box. Deep respect to the Israelis, whether it was legal or illegal, deep respect. That's the most incredible operation I've ever seen in my life.
In the United States, you might have remembered seeing the Zoomcopter toy kiosks in malls all across America in the early 2000s. Here's a video of one. If you're in your 20s or 30s, you might have remembered seeing these guys as a kid. They always tended to have a thick Israeli accent, and they let it fly up. What you might not know is that the Zoomcopter kiosks, especially in malls on the East Coast around 9/11, were actually front companies for Israeli intelligence gathering operations. Fox News actually did a 4-part investigation on this in the early 2000s. They ended up taking it down, but I'm going to play a clip of it in a second. This is a declassified FBI document of the report as well. Numerous classified documents by Fox News indicate that even prior to September 11th, as many as 140 other Israelis had been detained or arrested in a secretive and sprawling investigation into suspected espionage by Israelis in the United States.
Another part of the investigation has resulted in the detention and arrests of dozens of Israelis at American mall kiosks, where they've been selling toys called Puzzle Car and Zoomcopter. Investigators suspect a front. Shortly after the New York Times and Washington Post reported the Israeli detentions last month, the carts began vanishing. Zoomcopter's webpage says, "We are aware of the situation caused by thousands of mall carts being closed at the last minute. This in no way reflects the quality of the toy or its saleability. The problem lies in the operator's business policies."
Documents say they targeted and penetrated military bases, the Drug Enforcement Administration, the Federal Bureau of Investigations, dozens of government facilities, and even secret offices and unlisted private homes of law enforcement and intelligence personnel.
The majority of those questioned, quote, stated they served in military intelligence, electronic surveillance intercept, and or explosive ordnance units.
General Accounting Office investigation referred to Israel as Country A and said, according to U.S. intelligence agency, the government of Country A conducts the most aggressive espionage operation against the U.S. of any U.S. ally.
Yeah. So to me, I wonder if what they've done is they've been able to infiltrate and outmaneuver our agency, our intel, our politicians, and now a lot of Americans are annoyed, and a lot of leaders are annoyed that they outmaneuvered them.
I think you've hit it on the head.
I think
that's exactly it, because it's not just intel, it's politics as well.
Right. But guess what? You can be as angry as you want. You could have stopped it. You fell for it. You can say whatever you want about them. They outdid you.
Yes.
They out-strategized you.
Exactly right.
They outmaneuvered you, and you fell for it.
Then I went to the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. I was the senior investigator. And these two lobbyists come to the office. These guys were from AIPAC. "Congratulations on your new position." I said, "Oh, thank you very much. We would like to offer you an all-expenses-paid trip to the Holy Land." I said, "Oh, thanks. No, not for me, but I appreciate it." "Well, we're taking a large group of people and we're going to take you to all the Christian sites." I said, "Thank you. I can pay for my own vacations. I'm not interested." And, You know, I'd always heard that they did things like that because they want to get you right off the bat. But so public and obvious and blatant about it.
Guess what? I wish we would do that.
And we should
I wish Christians would do that. I wish America would do that. I wish we were in the same way proud to indoctrinate our kids to be proud to be Americans, as proud as they are to be Israelis. On the CIA side, you know how CIA has the CIA that we see. Is there a shadow CIA agency? Is there like a layer below the layer below the layer that it's such a small group of people that there's a group of people that are in it that none of us know about who really, really, really have the intel?
You could argue yes. Yes and no. Yes, in that there are people under what is called deep cover. So deep cover is, you know, maybe you go overseas and you say you have a job at, you know, the State Department or whatever, or the Defense or whatever. There's deep cover though. Amaryllis Fox Kennedy, who I believe now is on the National Security Council. She is Bob Kennedy's daughter-in-law, and she was a CIA officer. She was under deep cover, and her cover was that she was a museum curator and advisor, an art advisor. That's kind of cool. You know, maybe your cover is you're a wildlife photographer, or you're a mutual fund manager. So you do your mutual fund managing job for 8 hours, and then at night you're doing your CIA job for 8 hours.
And it's unquestionable that the Epstein business was heavily influenced, let me put it that way, by Mossad.
And so that's somehow emblematic on these huge geopolitical issues.
Yes, I watched Mossad take over the Pentagon in 2002. The Pentagon was infiltrated by Mossad. They did not need any identification to get through the river entrance of the building. They went upstairs to Douglas Feith, the Undersecretary of Defense for Policy, the third most powerful man in the Defense Department. Occasionally, they went to the second most powerful man, Paul Wolfowitz, the Deputy Secretary of Defense, and they had run of the Pentagon. Donald Rumsfeld, the Secretary of Defense, said to my boss one time, "Hell, I don't run my building. Mossad does."